Welcome to Two Errors, One Mindset. This is the place for younger adults and parents who are ready to build a better life, starting with their thoughts.
I'm Solomon. I'm right here in the mess of it, trying to figure things out just like you. I'll share what's working now.
And I'm Michael. My job is simple: to coach you through the biggest challenges using the mental tools that actually matter.
Every week, we blend my real-world perspective with my dad's professional coaching wisdom, giving you the playbook for confidence and control.
No hype, just clear steps. Let's roll. Solomon, let me ask you a question. Someone presents an idea to you. Gives it, what would give it credibility?
Well, if that idea was realistic or not realistic, the foundation of the idea. Like if someone said, "Oh, I have an idea, let's go to Mars," you'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Someone said, "Oh, I have an idea, it can help you make a little bit more money," then you're talking. It's all about the foundation.
Foundation would be key. And then you also mentioned something, which is the person who's saying it.
Yeah.
Why would that matter?
Well, if a 12-year-old kid who's never worked a day in his life came to me and said, "This is a great way to make extra money," I'd be like, okay. But if someone like you or someone who's worked their whole life came up to me and said, "This is a great way to earn some extra money on the side," there's a big difference between the two.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say is that if you have experience, you have more credibility, especially when you have experience in the thing that you're giving advice on.
100%. Took the words out of my mouth.
It took the words out of my mouth. Okay. So if someone writes a book and in the book it has a philosophy, what would make that book credible?
Again, the person's background.
The person's background.
Who the person is.
Let's just assume that the person has a pretty solid background. He has a good reason for writing the book. He has experience. What else would give that book credibility?
The content.
The content. How about the people that are reading the book?
That's a good one.
Or the people.
If other credible people are reading the book.
Other credible people are reading the book. So if those people, those credible people that are reading it also say what's written in that book actually works, and those people that are saying that are successful people specifically around what that book is about, what would that tell you?
Tells you the book's probably pretty reliable and it has good content.
Great. So the book, Think and Grow Rich, we have to ask ourselves, is this person who wrote the book credible? And then are the people that will say this is a good book, are they also credible? So let's just talk about that for a second.
Go for it.
The person that wrote the book was Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was just a reporter. So you would say if he's writing a book called Think and Grow Rich, and it's about not only getting rich in wealth, but also getting rich in just all other areas of your life, why would I listen to him? He wasn't very wealthy at the time, but Andrew Carnegie was known to be the first billionaire in existence. He called Napoleon Hill and he asked Napoleon Hill to stay with him and learn from him. And he wanted to teach him all the reasons and all the ideas that made him successful. And he wanted not only to have the information come from Andrew Carnegie, but all of Andrew Carnegie's very wealthy friends who also made a lot of money. Knowing that, does that give a little more credibility to the book?
Yeah. Based on what you just said, Napoleon Hill, it was basically just the messenger. He was just writing because he knew how to write. He wrote it because he knew how to write. And it's really different stories and different pieces of advice from people who were way more successful than he was.
Exactly. So as long as those people really did have a lot of success and then there might be some credibility, because why would they put their name and attach it to the book unless the book actually has information that works?
Right.
So I just wanted to throw a few of the names of the people that actually put their signature. They actually said it's okay to put my name in the book and say that I agree with the content that's in this book. Okay. Henry Ford, right? He founded
pretty successful
Ford.
Guy.
Pretty successful. You think he knows what he's talking about?
He might.
He might. George Eastman, which was Kodak, which was a massive camera company back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Charles Schwab. You think Charles Schwab is a big name?
I didn't even know Charles Schwab was an actual person. I thought it was just the name. I thought it was two last names.
So you're learning something every day. There's always something to learn. Sure, Charles Schwab, Thomas Edison.
Yeah,
Another person, right?
just a guy.
Woodrow Wilson,
Oh my gosh.
Alexander Graham Bell. Like
All
these
these
are
people have their signatures in the book?
all of them. There's about 50 of them that have their names
Oh
signed in the
my
book.
god.
And what they're essentially saying is that the information contained in this book, we're saying that we use these concepts to get wealthy. We use these concepts to come up with the ideas. And like Thomas Edison, a lot of the ideas came from him using techniques that were in this book.
Right.
That said, why would it be so important to understand all of this before we're going to actually talk about what we're going to talk about?
Because you're not just giving some random book here. It's a pretty credible book, like you said, with credible people who use that stuff every day.
And none of those people really needed to make more money back. They
No.
all had so much money, they didn't know what to do.
Right.
So there's one chapter of the book. The book in and of itself is a great book. It has great ideas, it has great concepts, but there's one chapter which I think is really powerful, and it's chapter 4, and it's called autosuggestion.
Like on text, when I'm texting and it auto suggests what words to say, anything like that.
It's not, but I love the idea of autosuggestion. But that's what most people would think. Well, because they only know autosuggestion to mean just that.
Yeah.
Typing and then all of a sudden a word pops up. No,
And it
autosuggestion.
sucks.
But
It sucks. It always gives me the wrong words.
it gives you the wrong words. So you can use the concepts from this book and then improve it, and then you'll make millions.
Yeah. Like I could do that.
Of
And I
course you
continue.
can. This is great. What did you just say?
What? That I can't?
You just said, yeah. What did you say?
I can't.
You can't. Auto-suggestion is about just that. So we couldn't have planned that any better, even though we didn't plan it.
It wasn't scripted at all.
It was not
No plan.
scripted. But this is what everyone does. We speak words out of our mouth, and
Before
they're
we even think.
extremely. What did you say?
Before we even think.
Before we think, and the words are extremely powerful because our words create. So if you say, no way, I could never do that, what's going to happen?
You're not going to be able to.
Right. You're training yourself. You're saying, I can't do that. But why can someone do that? What's the only difference between you and that person?
Because they put their mind to it. Put their mind to it and they say they can.
They not only speak the words, that's
They
the first
act.
part. Yeah, you got to act on it. Right, exactly. But you got to speak the words, because the first thing you do is speak the words. Our words are spoken thoughts. So if
Right.
I speak the word and say, I can do this, I will figure out a way no matter what. If I'm persistent, which is another concept in this book, and I stick to it and I just keep saying that, I'm going to come up with a way. I'll talk to the people that I need to talk to. I'll keep acting. I'll keep doing what's eventually going to potentially happen.
Whatever your goal was.
Does that make me smarter than the next person?
No, you're just using the tools that you have better.
We're using tools. And the beautiful thing is these tools are available to everyone. But the first thing we need to do is understand what the tool is, right? Because you
Right.
can have a screwdriver, but if you give the screwdriver to a 2-year-old kid who's never seen a screwdriver before, what's he going to do?
Probably stab himself. It
He
wouldn't be
might
so
stab
good.
himself. It's a good point, but he won't even know that you can use that to turn screws because he doesn't understand. And that's
Exactly.
why everyone listening, ourselves, we have to have an understanding of what the tool does. So auto-suggestion, I'm going to read what it says, okay? It says auto-suggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions. It applies to all suggestions which reaches one's mind through the 5 senses. Every time we hear something from the outside and it comes in through one of our senses, we either see it, we hear it, we smell it, we taste it, or touch it. But where does that go right into?
Brain.
It goes into our brain. It goes into our subconscious. It creates a program. And
Right.
what do we know about programs?
There's a lot of stuff about programs, and many of them are
Programs run
negative.
us,
They
right?
do.
They run us. Whatever program we have, the New York Knicks.
New York Knicks.
What's the first thing that you think about when you think about them?
A little bit overrated.
Overrated. Why do you say that?
Because they're from New York. Every New York team is always a bit overrated.
And you read all these sources. Where have you read that gave you that idea?
Sixers fans on Twitter.
There you go. But that's a great point. The Sixers fans on Twitter type in messages, you read them, they come in through your senses, they go into your subconscious, they create a program. That's your program around the Knicks. That's
It's a
part of it.
shame because most of the Sixers fans don't really know what they're talking about. So that's a story for a different day.
That's a whole other topic. You're right. But this is auto-suggestion. And the point is we want to pay attention to these things that are coming at us. And when you're going to say something out loud, you have to ask yourself, where did I get this from? So, for example, you had an opinion of the Knicks, but when you spoke about where you got that from, what does that tell you?
That it's not really my opinion.
Correct. It's a culmination of reading all these different people talking about the Knicks, and that becomes an opinion. Now, are opinions always correct?
No,
Now, we're only using an example here in sports, but the point is, do people have opinions about money?
everyone.
Do people have opinions about relationships?
Absolutely.
Do people have opinions about religion?
Of course.
Do people have opinions about politics?
They have opinions on everything. You could find someone with an opinion on, I'm staring at a tree out the window, on what type of tree that is with no knowledge. They just want to be smart.
Exactly. But the opinions aren't always right, are they?
Rarely, actually.
So
They're rarely correct.
they're rarely, because again, let's use politics as an example. If you're a conservative, what news sources are you typically reading?
Fox News,
Fox News.
conservative news,
If you're a liberal, what news sources are you
liberal news.
So what will your opinion be?
Exactly.
It's not a balanced opinion. It doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. You could lean more one way or the other, but there may be good in both. There may be some good here, some good there.
I completely agree with that.
Right. But if we don't look at the words that are coming out of our mouth, what's the problem?
That we can say stuff and people will think that we have these opinions when they're not our opinions.
Yeah, and they may not even be right.
They're not right most of the time.
You could spend 80% of your life saying something over and over and then find out after I did some research, my opinion has changed. Have you ever had that happen on any topic? Why do you think that happens?
Because we read and we focus on the same sources, like you said, with the news. And if we finally shift our point of view, make it a little broader, see that there's other options for things, we realize that most things aren't as we see them. There's a lot of other things going on.
That's exactly right. That's why when we hear someone else say something or when we say something, that is auto-suggestion. Right? If someone says to you over and over, Solomon, money is very hard to make. Solomon, money is very hard to make. And you hear it all different places.
That's all I'm going to think.
That because auto-suggestion is very influential. It has power to create these beliefs or programs that will control everything. All of our behaviors will be controlled because of those programs, which again aren't even ours. So that's why you think about that. Of all the things that Napoleon Hill, in interviewing all these people that were super successful, in all the things that they could have written down, they chose to put this as one of the chapters in the book. What does that tell you?
It's kind of important, just a little bit.
It's kind of important. So the question is, when those programs get created, right? We hear someone say something over and over, it gets locked in and it becomes a program. And then we start speaking it out loud to other people. We have to pay attention to our words that we speak.
Always.
Always. Even when we believe we're 100% right, what should we do?
Question it.
Always,
Think.
always question it. And it says here, tell me what you think. It says, no thought, whether it's negative or positive, can enter the subconscious mind, the deep part of our mind, without the aid of the principle of auto-suggestion. What do you think?
I agree with that.
100% right.
So if you hear something, it says, like you said, money's hard to make. But what if you heard money is easy to make? Then you're thinking, I don't need to work hard. The money's going to just flow in. It's easy to make. And then you're going to end up with no money. But if you hear money's hard to make, you're going to worry about every little thing you're doing while you're working. Oh my God, did I do this right? I might not make enough money if I do this, this, and that. and then you're living as a wreck. So both of those things can be problematic.
They can. That's right. So what do we say? Someone with specialized knowledge. We've got to talk to someone who really understands and someone that's fair, that's balanced, that we can really trust, that we
Yes.
want to get our information from.
People with that specialized knowledge will never tell you something. They'll never say, "Oh yeah, money's super easy to make," or "Money's super hard to make." They'll tell you in a realistic way how it is. They'll
Correct.
make it so you can understand, and so you won't get scared off. They're going to tell you exactly how it is, and that auto suggestion, obviously, it might still be there, but there's going to be less of it. I'm pretty sure, because you're getting the information in a better way from a better person.
That's right. Because the more we hear a message, whatever it is, whether it's good, bad, true, false, whatever it is that we're hearing consistently is going to be the program that gets created. It's going to be our belief. And that belief is going to influence all our thoughts. And Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, and all those people I mentioned believe that we really need to be very careful who we're listening to and what we're listening to and what we're watching and what we're scrolling on, because those will create the programs that will control our life.
I saw something on TikTok. There was this guy, I don't remember exactly what he was talking about, but he was doing he was programming. It was pure programming. But then at the end, he's reading what you're talking about right now. So he wasn't reading it clearly, because he was putting these programs and the auto suggestion through the roof into all these people watching. So you see that's just one example
It's
on
very powerful. You're right. It's a very powerful tool and it can be used to manipulate people. Think about it.
is all the time.
If the news organizations are owned by only a few corporations, so whether it's conservative, liberal, or somewhere in the middle, if there's only a few organizations that own all of those channels, what are the chances that they can use autosuggestion to manipulate our opinions?
110%. They're so high.
So do you
You
think maybe they, meaning whoever is controlling the masses, they know this. They know autosuggestion to be true. That's
That's
why
how they
they're
make their money.
listen.
They want people running around crazy. That's what they want.
That's
That's
right.
what that's why they report this news. They want people to go insane over it.
They want people to go insane. They want them to tune into the channel so that they're going to end up making more money. That's
And then the
really
people watching, Joe and his family are going to be watching, and they're going to hear threat to America, World War III. Like, remember in June, they were talking about World War III and nothing happened, and absolutely nothing happened. They want to scare people.
yes, because if they scare people, what does that do? It makes them tune right back in. Thank you for listening to our conversation today. Your support means the world to us.
Honestly, it does. We started this podcast to share what we're learning about mindset, and knowing that it's helping even one person out there makes it worth every minute.
Yeah, we'd be so grateful if you consider supporting the show.
You can visit buymeacoffee.com/mindset1 and treat us to a cup of coffee. Think of it as a small, kind gesture that fuels our future episodes.
Now let's jump back into the conversation.
And it makes them spread the word. It makes them spread the word even more, so more people tune in. And then they win.
Yeah, which is when everyone's spreading the word. Another word for that is
Programming.
programming and auto-suggestion.
Auto-suggestion.
So they're using the tool that's in the book, Think and Grow Rich, to really create programs that everyone will follow. If you constantly hear these messages, it's going to create a belief. They know it and they use it. So if they know it and they use it and it works, you know it works, because if you go talk to your friends and you ask them their opinion about something, you can hear the same thing that you heard on the news. Have you experienced that?
Yes, many times. Or the same thing you see on TikTok or Instagram or any social media. It's really insane. It
And
really is crazy.
true. Well, it must be. He just said it. It must be true.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's true. It means they're using auto-suggestion to create a program in your mind. It's not good when it's used for manipulation, but how could it be a good tool?
Well, when things that are positive are spread, and things that won't make you go crazy, things that can help you in your life are being spread.
Because when you're caught up in all that nonsense, what does it distract you from doing to take care of yourself?
Everything. Really, people will put themselves last when they hear some crazy stuff.
Will it distract you from the work that you're doing?
From work, from your family, from working out, from even just enjoying yourself, going out to dinner and, going out with your friends. It'll distract you from all that.
It's so true. It's so true because if the president were to get on the news channels and say, we're going to war with this country, how many people in the world will be tuned into the news for the next week or two?
It would be through the roof. And I remember when the whole thing in June happened. Two things. One, I had a lot of friends scared. They were scared because of what they heard on the news. They were genuinely terrified, saying, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are we going to get drafted? And two, I remember we went to one of my friends' houses and we set up on the big screen the president's speech and we listened to it.
Yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, we dropped 2 or 3 bombs in Iran. Everything's okay. War's over.
Right.
And then everyone was calm again.
And then everyone was calm after he then, but before that, when they start making you worried and fearful, they're using auto-suggestion as the technique.
100%.
They're doing it. They're using all the senses. They're doing it so that you can hear it. You hear it on the TV. You hear it on the radio. What were you saying?
You see it in front of you. They show burning buildings.
You feel it, right?
Of course.
All your senses are used. And when all your senses are used, you know where it goes right to?
Subconscious.
Once it's in the subconscious, the program's there and it will attach to all the other negative programs about war, about money, about whatever. And then you're spinning out of control in anxiety, but it's not really anxiety. It's just a program running, causing all these thoughts.
Exactly.
Isn't that nuts?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now let's talk about for a moment, how can you and I, use this on a daily basis for good for ourselves? What could we do?
Really take in what you hear, but then question it. Because that auto-suggestion can still happen after you question it. It can still go into the subconscious mind. You just have to give it a little checkpoint, little security checkpoint on the way there.
I love that. When you go in the airport, there are security checkpoints that you have to go.
Do that in your head.
It's the same thing when the words. We should have security checkpoints, and we say to ourselves, before I'm going to allow this in, let me double check and check the source and make sure that this is absolutely the case.
Yeah, question it.
Case. So that's one way we can use it. What's another way we could use it to help ourselves? If our words have power and our words can create these programs, how can we use that to help us?
Use positivity.
Yeah.
Focus on the positive. Let the positive go straight in.
If you hear a positive message enough, what will happen based on the auto-suggestion?
It'll go right into the subconscious.
And it will create what?
Positive programs, which we need more of.
And those positive programs, when we build enough of them, what will start to happen? Will they influence our behavior?
Yeah. Your life will get better. Our lives will get better because the behavior, like you said, will act positively. We'll do things and make what's around us positive. We'll make other people happy, make ourselves happy.
Have you ever heard someone say, like auto-suggestion would never, or positive affirmations, they never work?
Yeah, those people don't know what they're talking about, unfortunately.
Where do you think they got that from?
They just proved themselves wrong by saying it. They just proved themselves wrong.
That's right. They proved themselves totally wrong because they got it from hearing it from somewhere else.
Exactly.
Oh, those affirmations don't work. I've tried that and that, blah, blah, blah. They were scrolling. They heard it. Someone said it to them. Actually, auto-suggestion worked perfectly because the fact that they said that proved that auto-suggestion works.
That's right.
So this is the key piece of information for us to use. Now, this chapter is, I don't know, it's like 20 pages long, and we've only just touched on it. But the point is, it works. They use it a lot in the negative to create negative programs in us, to create fear-based programs in us. I mean, think about COVID. When COVID came out, what are some of the things that you remember them saying in the negative?
I remember March 2020 when everything shut down, which, you knew that was coming, but they said, if you get COVID, you'll never be able to taste again. You'll never be able to smell again. And then I think a day after I heard that, I couldn't taste anything because it was all in my head. I never had COVID. It was all in my head.
It's such a great point, right? Because now they planted that seed, it automatically starts to mess with your mind because you're thinking about it so much that it actually will influence you. Maybe you won't be able to smell, or you're feeling totally fine. You're around people, and the next day you find out 3 of the people that you're around got the virus of some
That
sort.
happened. COVID. It happened to me with COVID. One of my friends got it, and I think at 20 minutes after hearing that, my throat started to hurt.
This is what happens. Now, do you think your throat would have hurt if they could have still been sick, but if you didn't hear about it, what do you think would have happened?
No, I would have been completely fine.
You wouldn't be thinking about it, but it's when
Yep.
we think about it, what happens is that fear-based program taps into all of our fear
Everything.
programs about health.
Yep.
Oh my God, COVID, that means I might get sick. And if I get sick, could happen to me. And then
Your mind starts racing.
literally, like if you ever see a spinning wheel, it's like the wheel starts flying, and that's the programs just flying in your mind. And that generates all those thoughts, which then generates our our activity, which is generally negative. So let's use this tool to influence ourselves for the positive. So if you said to yourself every single day, literally every single day, no matter what, I know that I'm going to earn a ton of money helping people. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that, but I just know it's going to happen. If you said that enough and you acted on it when different ideas came up, what do you think is going to happen?
It will. That will happen.
It's autosuggestion.
Yeah, that's a great example of autosuggestion.
Grant in our mind over and over will ultimately come to fruition, regardless of whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
So again, if these media companies, politicians, they're using this technique, which all comes from Think and Grow Rich,
Right.
let's use it, but let's use it to create good for ourselves and others. Why do you think if you go up and you start giving positive feedback to your friends and family members, do you think that's going to have an impact?
Yeah.
If you keep saying it over and over and over and over to them, what do you think is going to happen?
Their results will get better.
100. Do you ever have a teacher that was like that, where you had a good teacher that actually believed in you?
Yeah, and I've also had the opposite, and it shows why I did well in some classes and bad in the others.
Because the program is formed. If someone believes in you, you start to believe in yourself. If someone's
100%.
negative about you, you start to be negative on yourself. That's because you didn't know this information. Now someone could be negative to you, and what could you do to stop the negativity?
Use those checkpoints like we talked about.
Yeah, the checkpoint is, nope, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good.
That into my mind, that's not true. I'm actually pretty smart. I may not be smart at everything, but I know if I put my mind to something, I can figure it out. So that's nonsense. And that's what we want to start doing. Do not allow someone to say things without blocking it out if it's not a good thing for you, because it's not. And many times they're talking about themselves, and it's the lack of belief that they have in themselves. They're putting that on you, and we don't want that. Like, that's no
Right.
here. If they did that to Michael Jordan, what would he do?
Yeah, he would laugh.
He'd laugh. He'd be like, and then he would go right by them and score a basket.
And then he'll retire, gamble, come back and win 3 more championships.
What do you think his auto suggestion was?
Talk about autosuggestion. That guy, he could do whatever he wanted. He literally retired, went to Atlantic City, gambled for 3 years, went to play baseball professionally, then came back and won 3 championships. You think he was letting anything negative get into his mind? I don't think so.
It's a great point. What do you think he said to himself on a consistent basis? If you had a guess,
I'm the best.
I'm the best, or no matter what, I'm going to win. Like,
Yeah.
figure out a way to win. He certainly wasn't saying to himself, I don't think I can do this.
The Knicks were good back then. The Knicks have this, and that boat up, but I don't. Oh my God. No, he was never saying that.
The greatest competition you could ever have is just competing with yourself.
100%.
You just work on, if I can just get a 1% better than I was yesterday, that's all I need to worry about. If I'm in a game and someone's better than me, I just got to show up and be the best version of myself. Don't compare
That's
to
how you do it.
the best version of me.
Yeah.
That way you never suffer from comparison.
100%.
So to sort of wrap this all up, what are your thoughts on auto-suggestion now?
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. And every single day it's being used.
It's social media now. It's all over social
Oh
media.
yeah. It's not even every day. It's every minute. It's almost every time you're on social media, that's happening.
Every scroll.
Every scroll.
You're
Once a
literally
scroll.
taking another thing. And the algorithm knows. They built the algorithm to understand that, oh, Solomon doesn't feel good about money. Let's keep pounding him with the message about money.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's an algorithm. It knows what you're watching. And it will create that program. And if the algorithm keeps serving up the same message over and over, what's it doing to that program in your mind?
It's activating it.
Yeah. And it's making it stronger and stronger and stronger. And we wonder, why am I always like this? Because we or they are using auto-suggestion to create these programs. So we've got to start using auto-suggestion to create the programs that we want. And we also got to put the blocks up to shut down the auto-suggestion coming from the outside world. To wrap it up, what are some ways that you could shut it down from the outside coming in?
You question it. You question it. You look at the other side of whatever you might be hearing.
Question it. Or if there's something that's really influencing you, like you watching hours and hours and hours of the news, turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off.
Or if you don't want to turn it off, just say, okay, you know what? Today I'm just going to watch 3 hours instead of 5.
God.
Right? I mean, that's still better than 5 hours, and then slowly break back. But just small steps, but ultimately realize where your beliefs are coming from. They're all coming from someone else. They didn't come from you.
Right. 100%.
Unless you created them, unless you said with auto-suggestion, I can figure anything out no matter what. If you say that enough, then that's your belief that you created. But all the other programs, all of them were created by friends, family, social media, news, all that stuff, all those different sources. What last words do you have for our audience today?
Auto-suggestion is very powerful. It's a real thing, and be smart about it.
Be smart. And everyone have a wonderful New Year's, and we will see you next week.
Yes, we will.
And we'll talk about something interesting.
All right.
Have a great day. That brings us to the end of the conversation today. We truly hope you leave here with a few new tools for your mindset toolbox.
If anything we talked about today, from challenging your beliefs to taking that 1% step, resonated with you, we'd love for you to share it.
Our goal is to bridge the gap between generations. If you know a young adult who's struggling with self-doubt, or a parent who could use a fresh perspective, please share this episode with them.
You never know which simple questions or ideas might change someone's entire week or even their whole outlook.
You can find our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you again for being a part of our mindset community. We'll see you next time.